Hello, Karl Knudsen here with New Hampshire Politics in Chester. We have a town election coming up on Tuesday, May 12th, and one of our candidates is here now, Chris Kozura, running for school board, and an incumbent. So you've paid your dues the last couple of years.
Yes, sir.
Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a lifelong physics educator, and I grew up all around the world as an Air Force family, and I spent most of my childhood in northern Maine in Aroostook County, and Eagle Scout, went to school at RPI, and then decided to become a physics teacher, so finished up my education at UMaine, and I've been teaching over 20 years, always high school physics, and I've got a family here in Chester. We moved in right around 2010. We bought the Chesterstown farm, the Poor Farm, and we brought it back to life. Myself and my family, from the ground up, we brought the house back, and now I have 2 little children, and I'm running for school board to support Chester Academy and the district and make the school better for not just my kids, but all the kids that are going to come after me.
So you're an incumbent. You've done a couple of years now. Is it 2 or 3? I can't
It's
remember.
a 3-year term.
3-year term. Why have you decided to run again?
Well, Carl, when I first ran for school board, I ran to make improvements to the school. We were in tough shape academically. Our standardized test scores were low. There were real serious budget pressures facing the school. The school board to that point and throughout all of history in Chester has done a really good job of balancing budget and providing the best instruction for the students and having a really strong district. And I saw that it was time for a generational shift. I saw that we had board members that were retiring, and it was time to pick up the torch and continue. So that's why I ran in the first place. I'm running again because as an incumbent, I think I'm going to serve about 2 terms. As an incumbent, I now have the experience. I don't need to relearn the ropes as a first-year school board member. And, there's a lot of growth to be made. We have to sustain our gains. And we also need to face the challenges of the future. So it's going to continue to be budget pressures in a small town like Chester without a large business environment.
Mm-hmm.
Our tax base is limited. Our school will always need to face budget challenges. So I want to keep this school running, and I want to start working on succession for the next generation of parents and students and even school board members that are going to come along and take the torch after my term's done.
Okay. Next couple of questions, you sort of answered them already, but I'm going to give you a chance to answer these individual questions. One, what experience would you bring? Any additional experience? Although your experience, there's a lot of it there. Any additional experience you would bring to the school board? And how do you believe the school board or town would benefit by your re-election? Again, you've given quite a few of those reasons, but do you have anything else to add to that?
Sure. So, as a first-term board member, it's a lot of learning the ropes, learning how the town works, and learning the interconnectedness between all of the different boards and committees. So coming in, I have that experience already, and oftentimes it depends on who you know and who can solve the problems that arise, and so I come in with that. So. I'm sorry, Carl. Can you?
The second question?
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
How do you
please?
believe the town would benefit by your re-election? And again, you've covered a lot of that already. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
So this board is really strong, and this is we've got a range of varieties, and what I bring is, in particular, I'm an educator myself, so I happen to know the inside workings of schools, and it's complicated. I know a little bit about how the teachers are feeling. I know about how climate and culture works. And so, that's at least what I bring to the board. This board has so many strengths, and we all sort of complement each other on that. I am a strong believer in data to make decisions. I like to use numbers to make arguments. And so that's at least what I bring. And I don't know if you knew this, but this entire board, I'm the eldest member, is completely millennial now. So it's a new generation of folks, and I thought that's kind of cool.
So the school board, there's so much involved in it, and it takes a lot more than just a Wednesday night. So one of the questions we ask everybody is, the people just starting out, do you have the time? And people who are incumbents, do you still have the time?
Yeah, it is a huge commitment, and I just want to recognize all the folks around town that are involved in civics and do devote the time. I think it's easy as soon as somebody gets elected to just, oh, they're the enemy. let's rag on them. But even PACT committee, I want to just thank all of you for doing this. The select board, the budget committee, the planning, zoning. These folks are putting in tons of time. When I was a kid, I was an Eagle Scout, and one of the merit badges we have to attend town meetings, and I had no idea what was going on. And these folks at the meeting, it was terribly boring for a kid, but the amount of time that goes into local politics where it really matters, I think folks take us for granted. I certainly would love to take school board for granted and let somebody else do it, but I'm happy to do it as well. It's an important civic duty, and I just want to applaud everyone who partakes in that. And these folks are the closest to affecting everybody's lives, I think, in terms of like town, state, and federal. I think the town politics is the most impactful. So yes, I have the time. I have a wonderful supporting family. This is why I am limiting myself to 2 terms, is because I am spending an awful lot of time away from my family on this endeavor. So I've got 3 more years.
And they're young kids, so formative years. New Hampshire School Boards Association conducts an orientation class for each year for new school board members, and you've taken that course. Was the training helpful?
Absolutely, yeah. And I want to just touch upon what the New Hampshire School Board Association does as well, because it's a continuing education to be on a school board. One of the toughest things is when you come on as a first-year school board member. I know I just basically sat there and listened and tried to learn and take it all in. New Hampshire School Board Association is there at the state level to help us keep up with what's going on with legislation, new regulations, and new rules. And they also advocate on behalf of all of us local school boards at the state level. They provide testimony as to our position on certain legislation. So speaking of training, yeah, as a first year, you want to touch base on all the laws, all the regulations, and figure out how to do your job and follow the rules. But as a continuing school board member, we continue to get educated as to what laws just changed, what are we going to have to do, how is it going to impact our district, what policies, and is there a budgetary impact? So as a school board member, you have to really be curious and constantly educating yourself as to the times and what's going on.
If I recall, the right to know laws take up a fair amount of time as well, don't they?
Yes, right to know it's very important to get a good understanding of how decisions can be made by an elected body. So it's a little counterintuitive if you're coming on, but a school board and any public entity, we have to make our decisions in public, on camera, and not meet in quorum or do anything behind the scenes like that. So yeah, it is very important to the public so that they understand how decisions get made and they can see it firsthand. And by the way, not all communities have PACT video, so this is a huge contribution to that in terms of public accountability and transparency. Having our meetings and things like this aired on live TV is phenomenal.
Is there a way, or how could the district increase and improve community relations? And I think that's something you've been working on pretty hard and pretty well at it.
So now that I'm a bit of, of an experience, a little more experience, I'm not as experienced as some people have been, I advise our junior members, I say, our number one asset is trustworthiness. It's about having the facts right, and if you don't know, building a reputation of having the right information, being transparent. We just had an incident where the school, we had to, speaking of new regulations, we had to publish 3 graphs of teacher salaries, administrative salaries, and cost per pupil over time. And everybody in the state had to do it in terms of public schools, and we had to post those, and we did that. And we got called out on that. In an op-ed, somebody accused the school of doing something absolutely wrong. And so, circling back to what I said earlier, like improving relationships with our community. Our community has to trust us. They have to understand how we reach our decisions, how our numbers are generated. We operate with an open budget book. Everybody can scrutinize, everybody can criticize. And so in answer to the accusations from, it was an outside group outside of Chester, the town itself, this op-ed, they made an accusation, and we had to basically, a lot of our community were very concerned, and justifiably, like, were we publishing numbers that were inaccurate? And so, in terms of improving our relationship with our community, we had to basically prove to them that, yes, we followed the rules. Here's where the numbers came from. And that's where I think our credibility and our trust over the past 3 years, we've really worked hard to foster that between committees, between the community, and so have you. I'm rambling at this point, but it's a huge topic.
I think that newspaper article someplace showed up, and I think the board within 1 week had answered.
Yes, that's right.
Must have spent a lot of time on that then.
Right, on that particular issue, we had to respond. I mean, social media these days, and the way that a story sort of takes a life of its own, is very overwhelming. And we recognize that this was an opportunity to. I mean, the board hires the best people we absolutely can to do the job. And in that instance, it was our central office that had generated the report, the graphs that were in question. And, we trust them intrinsically. We also check, and this was yet another example to check. And we went ahead and checked. We investigated it, and our superintendent had all the receipts. She had published, her way of doing. And by the way, the entire incident boils down to this: when doing cost of living adjustments or CPI to a salary, an accountant, the expert, will say, take it from the teacher's perspective. Consider yourself the teacher. How much spending value do you have? And that's what we did. We followed a professional organization's advice on that one. And so then, the assumption was we would be approaching that from the taxpayer's perspective. So taxpayers or this outside group would have assumed that we had done CPI adjustments from the person paying the salary. So it was a simple miscommunication, and I think that our superintendent had the receipts to back it up.
I'm recording, shut up!
So there's some background noise here.
Yeah, that's good.
What issues do you see facing the students at Chester Academy and Pinkerton?
So the biggest issues is budget. I think that we have to have a sustained, even budget so that our taxpayers, we have a limited tax base in here in Chester. We are always in the top 20, usually the top 10 lowest cost districts in the state. And we owe that in large to having an agreement with sending communities to have a large high school, and that has the economy of scale. Chester County will always be small, and as a result, it's inherently inefficient. So every year we're going to have budget constraints, and that's just the way it is. We have to deliver an education to these kids that is strong so that they can all live up to their potential. So every kid has potential, and where they achieve, we want to get them achieving to their potentials. And so that means that we need stability, we need teachers sticking around, we need good climate and culture inside of the schools, we need a relatively level budget, which the town has grown to expect. So I would say the biggest issues facing the students at Chester is stability, and the risks to that are going to be things like, we're taking a lot of flack from outside groups. We're facing a lot of new regulations from the state legislature. We are, putting out fires. Like for example, the graphs, that sort of thing. So the biggest issues are stability and just keeping this institution running. And by the way, it's been running for over 100 years. Like this, the public school records in Chester go back a long ways, and these are the same conversations that have been happening for all of that time. I have actually enjoyed reading some of the school board perspectives from way back in the day. It's the same conversations.
Just different way of pay and different way of a cow, horse, I don't know. Did they pay with livestock at one time years ago?
Yeah. And I gotta say, it's the same mentality too. This town has always loved education, always felt like it was a pathway towards economic opportunity. There's a strong tradition of public education here in Chester.
Well, Chris, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to give to the people watching?
Sure. There are 2 candidates and 2 spots. I think the first time I ran, there was 1 candidate and 2 spots. But at the same time, I really think it's important for me to prove to the taxpayers and the parents and everybody involved in Chester that I think this job is one of the most important. I've devoted my life to it, and I would appreciate your vote Tuesday, May 12th, during town elections.
Okay, thank you, Chris Kozura. Thanks for watching New Hampshire Politics in Chester, New Hampshire. Remember, again, town election is at the NPR Tuesday, May 12th. Town meeting is Thursday, May 14th. Thanks for watching.